Hi there, and welcome to Play with Corona SDK on Tuts Plus. If you are at all interested in mobile game development, you've probably heard of Corona SDK. With blazing fast performance and cross-platform and multiple device support, it's a great way for indie developers to get started quickly. Not only will you be able to export to Android and iOS from a single codebase, but with Corona's Keep It Simple approach to their APIs, your codebase will be substantially simpler than native Objective-C or Java. Corona's guiding principle is to let you get on with the job. They strip away the complexities of native APIs and give you a simple and consistent code interface using a language called Lua. Lua is a great choice, as it has a simple syntax, yet it is versatile and will be familiar and easy to learn for JavaScript developers. Throughout this course, we'll be learning how to make games with Corona SDK. Usually with a beginner's course, I'll spend some time on each of the APIs that the framework offers. But for this one I want to take a different approach. Corona is all about game development, so that's where I want to focus. We'll be exploring different game dev concepts and how they apply to Corona. We'll look at scene management, menus, physics, interaction, collision, levels, the camera, baddies, obstacles, and of course the hero. We'll also take a look at a couple of standard game mechanics and code them up in Corona. By the end, you'll have a whole heap of building blocks that you'll be able to put together to create your own game. I focused this course on creating games because that is what Corona is really good at. They have social integration built right into the platform and monetization as well. This is great as in-game purchases are becoming a very important revenue stream for application developers. Corona also has a decent online community, a fair bit of support, a lot of forum activity, and they even get together and host a lot of local events, bringing together Corona developers face to face. I think now is a really great time to be checking out Corona. Although their basic package costs $16 a month, they actually have the Corona SDK Starter Kit, which is free, but can actually be used still to publish real applications that you can sell on the App Store. All you need to do is register and download the version for your operating system. So if your focus is on mobile game development, or any other sort of highly engaging and interactive 2D experience, then it's definitely worth giving Corona a try. After all, it won't cost you anything. Now to use Corona, you'll need to have an account with them. They actually compile your Lua code into native applications, all on their own servers in the cloud. This means that setting up and getting started is a lot easier, but maybe you have a little less control, so this might not be for everybody. When we open Corona SDK, we can create a new project or open an existing one, and we can also check out the documentation and samples. I'll quickly show you the documentation, as it'll be important throughout the course. On the left here you can see a list of all the different APIs, broken up into libraries, events, and types. If we go and check out display, you'll see all the different display properties and functions that are available. Here we can see how we would create a new circle display object. It shows you what library it's a part of, what sort of value it returns, which version of Corona this API belongs to. Here you can see the method signature, and they'll even give you a couple of examples. Personally, I've always found the documentation to be more than adequate. There's also reference to different plugins, and as you can see there's a lot of cross-promotional branding getting involved here. We have all the different ad providers, gaming services, iTunes, monetization, security, social, and utilities. So a lot of different companies are jumping on board with Corona at the moment. So let's check out some examples. The examples are all located in sample code directory of your Corona SDK application folder. If you go down to the physics section and many crates, what's really interesting about this is just how quickly it loads. It's practically instantaneous, so you don't have to wait for your application to compile or to update really in any way in order to see the changes that you've made. Another thing that Corona claims is that it's just as fast as a native application. A good example of that is the bullet example. As you can see, we have a lot of physics objects here, and we have 3 bullet objects being blasted into these cans, and it's just silky smooth animation, very reactive, almost addictive just to watch. In the chains example, you'll see that we can also set up kind of more complex physics relationships than just simple objects. Ragdoll is another such complex example. And for those of you who like to get technical, we have a ray casting example. You can see here we're calculating the reflected ray of this line. But I'll let you check out the rest of the examples yourself. Before we go, I'd like to quickly show you probably the most useful tool for developing Corona applications, which is a plugin for Sublime Text 2 and 3. So all you have to do is download and install Sublime, install package control at sublime.wbond.net/installation. To install package control, you need to copy and paste this text here, whether it's for Sublime Text 2 or 3. Go to View in Sublime Text and Show Console and enter in that text. Once you have package control, hitting Shift-Command-P and typing in package will give you all of the different options. We want to install a package, and it is the Corona editor. There we go. The Corona editor gives us a debugger for working with Corona code, code completion for all of the APIs and constants in the Corona SDK. It'll give you snippets and code templates, and you can look up the documentation directly from the code. So let's open up a file and have a look. If we go and open up the bullet example, you'll see the code required to make that little sample. It's really quite simple. We have a nested loop here, which builds up all the cans, and here's our code to throw the bricks. You can see here where force is applied to the brick to launch it into the cans. Basically, by having installed the Corona editor, we can start typing a loop, for example, hit enter, and it will allow us to tab through the values to change them really easily. And here we can change the internal workings. Same thing with if-else statements. We have our condition, our contents, and of course we have code completion. So here, by context, it knows that I could be choosing the X or Y property is bullet property or angular velocity. So you can see how this would be really helpful. If I go up to Corona Editor Run Project in Sublime Text, it'll run the project and we'll be able to see the console output down here. This can be a lot more convenient than having to open up a terminal window. We can also right-click and set breakpoints. And if you hit Command R, we can navigate between our functions. This is obviously very helpful in large projects. Well, I hope you'll join me for the rest of the course, and check back in for the next lesson, where we'll be taking our first look at Lua. Ciao!